What's up YouTube, Dale here from Zephyr, and today I am bringing you another Blue Eyes variant that utilises the Master Magia. Today it is the turn of Blue Eyes featuring Nadir / Dogmatikas. Now it's actually a very small main deck engine. You can make the Dogmatikas a little bit more prominent. That's when you'll start opening up stuff to like Yugioh, Flordelis, maybe even look into the ritual monsters for that strategy as well, because what you're ultimately doing is you're going to be summoning the Master Magia during your opponent's turn. Now I've still maintained some cards in this deck that gives you a bit more consistency to work towards Magia, because you can't guarantee you're always going to see Nadir Servant. The benefit of a card like Nadir Servant is it's one of them ones that you can do at the end of your combos. So you can bait out all of your opponent's interactions and then activate the Nadir Servant and still lead yourself to a Master Magia, giving you a guaranteed free negates in that type of scenario. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through the profile, I'll show you what we've got, I'll explain why we've got it, and then obviously we can talk about different alternatives of what you might want to switch in, switch out, what each of the utility cards that are coming from the Nadir Servant package are actually providing you, and then how you can get the most value off of it. So with all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell, and subscribe so you don't miss out any more upcoming content. Diving headfirst into the Blue Eyes cards, again, these are pretty staple. I'm 99% sure that the majority of the lists that I've shown you have the exact same Blue Eyes lineup. The only card that really does change is whether or not you want to be keeping in a Blue Eyes Jet Dragon or swapping it out for another dragon. In this particular scenario, I'm actually keeping it in. I still feel, because I'm also still using Priestess, that it just gives you another line that can allow you to work into the Master Magia. Yes, of course, if you wanted to, you can cut out the Priestess, you can open up the lines a little bit more. The idea with this particular build, as you'll see when we go through it, we've got Priestess, which is a searchable route through the main deck in order to get to your Magia. We've then got a Dragon's Ravine, which is an accessible piece through the extra deck off of Ancient Fairy Dragon to get you to Master Magia. And then of course you've got the best card of all being the Nadir Servant. If you want to make the deck more Dogmatika reliant, then of course you can start taking out stuff like your Dragon's Ravine, you can take out Jet Dragon, Priestess, and then that's when you'll start putting in stuff like Yugioh, Flordelis, and then the ritual monsters. They're not really going to aid in access to the Master Magia. The Nadir Servant is the card that does that for you. So that's kind of what you want to look into it, as what different options you might have available to you. And then of course we do play the triple Sage, pretty standard on this one with the triple Maiden. And then the one Priestess, which of course is just down to personal preference. I know some people do like the Master route as well, which can do very well. But the idea with the Master route is it lets you kind of play through Nibiru, but then you start affecting your extra deck a little bit more. And when you're already affecting your extra deck with the Nadir Servant, the whole idea behind this, which is why you don't need to play like Crimson Dragon, Double Ancient Fairy Dragon, and the cards that then enforce the ability to play through Nibiru, is that you kind of go, right, well, if you Nibiru me, I'm still going to hold back my Nadir Servant. I'm still going to threaten you with the Ancient Fairy Dragon, and if you do Nibiru me then, I then have the ability to just activate Nadir Servant and still get the exact same out goal that I was looking for through Nibiru without needing to affect the extra deck as much, and then still give you a bit more draw power as well. Then again, pretty standard on this one, triple wishes, one raw, one ultimate fusion. Now this is actually a really interesting kind of a bit of information, supposedly. So I didn't know this at the time of recording the pure version, but when I read this card that you fusion summon a fusion monster from your extra deck that mentions Blue Eyes White Dragon or Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. Now obviously Dragon Master Magia only specifically lists Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. So initially I was like, okay, cool, well it means I need to use Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. My understanding was that as long as I use Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, I can use two other dragons as well, so that I use the requirements of 3 Blue Eyes monsters. Turns out that is not the case. You have to specifically use Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, and it will only allow you to use Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon plus the Chaos Monster or Blackluster Soldier Monster. So that's where Ultimate Fusion becomes very specific. Luckily, we still naturally be doing this anyway. It just means you don't get that resource recursion that you're probably going to want to be looking for when you're putting back 3 Blue Eyes monsters instead. So I thought, oh, I can put back 3 Blue Eyes monsters as long as one of them is the Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. Turns out that is not the case. That being said, I still feel that Ultimate Fusion is the best fusion spell for the deck just because it is easily searchable. Yes, of course, you can go through the Abyss Dragon to search out your original Polymerization. The issue with that is it then means you need to have the Chaos card in the hand, and then you need 3 Blue Eyes monsters in the hand or on the field. Whereas the Ultimate Fusion allows you to bring them back from the graveyard, which can get a little bit risky if there is Bestials running around highly at your environment, but that's something you need to look into and kind of make sure you adapt it to your personal playstyle and what you have available to you. Then of course we've got the one Mausoleum alongside the one Majesty and of course the one True Light. So that's it for the Blue Eyes lineup, pretty standard with what you're looking for to make the Master Magia. Now for the Nadir Servant / Dogmatika package. We've kept this at a base minimum of triple Nadir Servant and then the 1 Maximus. Now, of course, like I said, you can make this more prominent. You can work your way into stuff like your Ecclesia. The one big benefit that you need to remember about this one is it sends a monster from the extra deck to the graveyard, then you add a Dogmatika or a Fallen Balbaz from the deck or grave. So if you do hard open up the Maximus, to get the most advantage, make sure this is the discard off of the back of your wishes, and then you can activate Nadir Servant to bring it back. Obviously, it's a little bit risky with bestials, but you do need to keep that in mind, kind of play and read the situation that you're in. Otherwise, even if you hard open it, you're still going to be able to get extra deck monsters from the deck to the graveyard, like your Blue-Eyed Spirit Dragon and everything else like that. So you can still banish those to summon the Maximus as your last chance saloon. So it's not like a hard open up Maximus and that's it, I can't play. It just means you hard open up Maximus, and as long as you get an extra deck monster to the graveyard, which you should be able to do, you'll be able to present yourself with the ability to get into your Master Magia. And then for the hand traps, now these are entirely up to you. I've chosen the better hand traps. These are the ones if there's no budget requirements whatsoever, just to kind of show you the alternative options. But if you want to know what type of hand traps you use, I'll explain them. But they're also ones that you'll be looking at in my previous profiles as well. So the hand traps that I've chosen that don't really rely on budget is of course triple Molchami Fluoros, and I'll just jump ahead to it as well, is triple Dominus Purge. Now, obviously, if you already have access, if you don't have access to either of these, then what you're going to be doing is you're going to be putting in triple Ash Blossom, pretty much does the exact same job, so it's entirely up to you on that one. And then off of the back of the Fluoros, you can then start putting in Nibirus, you can max out some of the cards that I'm playing at 2. It really is up to you. I just wanted to show you a build with the highest and strongest hand trap count. And the reason that Fluoros is a little bit better in this version is that if you're going second, of course, you drop the Fluoros, you can probably draw into your Nadir Servant, gives you a bit more consistency, or you technically make your opponent skip their turn and feel that they won't get OTK'd. For the generic easy to access hand traps, double Veiler, double Ogre, double Bell, and then of course triple Infinite Impermanence. Again, adapt these as you see fit. You change these to your environment. If you want to play a Field Breaker version of this deck, then of course you can swap those out a little bit more. Again, Ash Blossom is taken out of here in place of the Dominus Purges. It really is entirely up to you on what you want to play. Nibs, Ashes, more Veilers, more Ogres. Heck, if you really want to play Ghost Mourners, by all means go for it. If you want to play a Bestial Magnamut and a Bestial Druid Swarm, again, you can also go for those. It really does come down to preference. The last 2 cards we've got is the 1 Pot of Prosperity, just for that consistency to help you dig for your combo pieces, whether that be Nadir Servant, whether that be Wishes, whether that be Sage, Maiden. You've got loads of targets and your extra is actually really flexible. It gives you the ability to kind of banish out cards from the extra without needing to worry too much. And then the final card we play is the 1 Dragon's Ravine. The reason you play this is it allows you to, yes, discard a card, but it lets you send a dragon from deck to the grave. Yes, you can go for the Neo Kaiser Seahorse if you want to, but because I wasn't playing the Bestials, I had no direct way to search it, and I don't really want to be playing free of the Neo Kaiser Seahorse. I'd much rather play Dragon's Ravine, which I can access through the extra deck, of course through Ancient Fairy Dragon, but then if you hard open up Ravine, you don't need to go through the Ancient Fairy Dragon to get to it. You just activate it, you send the Blue Eyes Chaos Max, and then you pretty much got the piece of what you need. So you're basically trying to make sure you set up the pieces for your Master Magia. That is the whole idea behind this. If you're like, I just want to play a Dogmatika version that doesn't rely on the Master Magia, that's again, if you want to play a version that doesn't rely on the Master Magia, again, you can kind of change it up a little bit more. You take out the Dragon's Ravine. That's when you can start opening up the Dogmatika package a little bit more as well, and that's when you would shift up your strategies just to kind of focus more on that play. So that's it for the entire main deck. Now I'm going to show you the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we'll start with the fusions, of course. The main one of topic right now is the Dragon Master Magia. Follow this up with your Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon and your Blue Eyes Tyrant Dragon. Of course, you can still use Ultimate Fusion to make your Tyrant Dragon, but you also have the ability when you're recycling your Blue Eyes Ultimate to equip it to a Blue Eyes and then just summon it out that way. So you can actually access all 3 of these very easily. Obviously, sadly not fusing into Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, yet technically you could put back 3 Blue Eyes White Dragons to make it, but you're only playing 2. But the idea is that this is going to be your equipped fodder. And then for your Nadir Servant sends, you've got Garura, you've got Natis. And now the idea behind both of these is this is for going second to destroy a card. This is for going first to give you a nice little additional draw. Then the targets you're going to want to send off of the back of your Dogmatika Maximus will of course be your Herald of the Art Light to search out your Chaos Max, and then you'd send Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon if you haven't had the ability to get to it another way. Or if you wanted to, you can start playing other targets in here. You can play Agitator, but the chances are Agitator is only going to be good for going second, whereas I'd much rather just send the Elder Entity Ints and get an ability to destroy a card. The reason you can't send this off in Nadir Servant unless you play the ritual monsters for the Dogmatikas is that Nadir Servant needs to search a monster that has the same or lower attack. So obviously if I send Herald of the Art Light, I can only search out a 600 or less attack, and Maximus is 15. Then for the other synchros, you do play 2 Spirit Dragons, and then the targets of the Spirit Dragon will be your Ancient Fairy Dragon, Lightstorm Dragon, and Blue Eyes Ultimate. And then for the Link monsters, we've got 2 Spirits, 1 Seals, and then the final monster we play is the Star Slayer Typhon. You don't have to play Typhon. Again, sub this out for a card that is more suited to your style, more what you have access to. But the idea is this is just a really kind of good meta call right now, just because it gives you the ability to deal with higher attack stat monsters. It means you can shut off higher attack stat monsters' effects, remove them from the field, and then you're basically sitting there being a lot more defensive. And that's when the Nadir Servant package can come in. Because even though you can't special summon anymore, you still have the ability to activate the Nadir Servant. That can then ultimately end up sending a Garura for a draw, search out a Maximus for the follow-up. Or, of course, it gives you that ability to kind of search out the pieces you might need. It might be one of them ones where it's like, right, well, I need to get a Chaos Monster to the hand, or I need to get the Ultimate Fusion to the graveyard. I've already hard opened up the Chaos Monster, and you can do that, and then access your Ultimate Fusion, which still gives you the Magia during your opponent's turn. It's obviously a very niche scenario, but that's something you need to keep in mind, that you can still activate Nadir Servant. So that's pretty much it for the entire lineup. Another way that you can adapt this deck if you wanted to is you could play off of the back of the Nadir Servant is when you send Herald, once you send it off of Maximus, rather than searching out your Blue Eyes Chaos Max, you can actually search out an Illusion of Chaos. And then with the Illusion of Chaos, you'll still be able to, even under Nadir Servant, special summon out your Magician's Souls. The Magician's Souls, then, depending on what field spells you have around, what spare spells you might have around, you can actually send them to the graveyard to draw more cards to give you a bit more resource. The fact of the matter is, if you did something like that, you would need to make sure you play 2 Illusion of Chaos, because you can't send one. No, you wouldn't. If you were to do that, of course, what that then gives you the ability for is you're sending your Illusion Chaos to the graveyard, which is your Chaos Monster, absolutely fine. But then you'd need to make sure that when you're summoning down your Magician's Souls, you have cards you want to send. Sometimes that might happen, sometimes it might not. So that is something you can consider. It just opens up the deck a little bit more, because you'll be replacing a Chaos Max for an Illusion of Chaos, and you can technically summon Chaos Max in this build. And then, of course, you'd be adding in a couple of Magician's Souls, which might be, you could obviously just play 1 Magician's Souls, because then when you search out your Illusion of Chaos over the back of your Maximus, then of course you just reveal it and go from there. But it really is up to you. It depends on what you want to try and have access to. You could go for a Secret Vintage Lock as well, because you can also use Maiden, you can also use your Magician's Souls, which can be quite helpful. But that would be something that I would side in rather than main deck, because you can never guarantee you're going to go first or second. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you do have any questions at all, by all means, please put them in the comments down below. I will be more than happy to answer them. For now, as absolutely always, stay safe, and of course, happy dueling.